Hey everybody, in high school I had an epiphany that has really carried me forward throughout my life. Something that, one of the few things that I probably did learn and carried forward through high school, but it's going to help you if you are just starting out eBay, wanting to start eBay, you want to start flipping, you're just kind of mid-level. If you've already been successful at this, you're crushing it, being on social media, like doing those garage sale flips, or somebody who is reselling, or you're someone who is just behind the scenes, just crushing it, on your eBay store, or whatever. You probably already discovered stuff like this, but it's going to be something that is really going to help you. And at the same time, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what is enough, right? And how I put that into perspective. Now, the thing that I see a lot of people, it's like, oh, I'm afraid of something in business. You're afraid to start a business because, oh, I might fail. Or, you see people on social media, be it YouTube or TikTok or, wherever it is. And it's like, oh, I can make those videos. I'm doing that right now. Why not build a following? But just like the starting a business, it's like, oh, what if I fail? Or if it's starting social media, it's like, oh, I don't really like the way I sound. I don't really like the way I look. Oh, the camera's not right. The sound's not right. It's just like, I'm not sure if I should really start that. When you're on eBay, if it's not like social media or actually starting the business, you're actually on eBay, right? And it's like, what kind of title should I put here? How do I optimize that? How do I put the right keywords? What kind of day do I start? What kind of day do I end if I'm doing auctions? Or, should I unlist everything and sell similar? And it's all this stuff that people always think about. And the big thing that I learned, and this phrase that is carried on forward throughout the years, is that nobody actually cares. Nobody cares. If you start a business and then you fail, guess what? Nobody cares except you. Nobody does. I talked about high school where I learned it. I used to be, just like most people, a little skittish on public speaking, right? It's not something that's the favorite. I was sitting in the room and I was listening to this guy. I was listening to this, whatever, eighth person in a row talk about, I don't care, their report on the grapes of wrath or some stupid book that nobody cares about. Do you know what and I realized like halfway through of like the eighth kid, and I thought about, wait a minute, hold on. As I'm worrying about, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say, and I looked around and everybody else is kind of worrying what they're saying. And the people who have already finished, those seven kids before, they're certainly not listening. They're thinking about what they're going to do for the day, or, their homework for the night, or, hey, let me go out later. They're not thinking about it at all. What I realized, I looked up and I thought, wait a minute. Literally, nobody cares what this kid is talking about. And yet, everybody had worried about what they're going to say, what they're going to do. And even though you might be up there and people are looking at you, they're not really looking at you. They're just something to look at that point. Nobody actually cares. Think about it, like, what's the biggest public speaker, like the United States, president, right? How many presidential speeches, have ever been, it's like, wow, I remember that one, or that's like a famous one. Like a handful out of tens of hundreds of millions of speeches, right? Or, press briefings or whatever you have to do to public speaking in front of people, or, conferences, or just addressing the nation. It's been like, it's so small. Nobody cares. And that's the top dog. So when I think about, I see a lot of people that are just, it's like, let me start a business, and what if I fail, and then I'm just a failure, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, nobody cares. Don't worry about it. Literally nobody cares. How many businesses I thought of and tried to look around starting before starting this, and I started this business, consigning people's stuff on eBay. And it wasn't just consigning people before. That was, I was doing box breaks and actually flipping stuff and selling it on eBay and whatnot. There was a lot of stuff with that. So just starting consignment was in late 2021, right? We just, next month will be at 2 years, and I'll be next month 36 years old. I was started this business at 34 years old. Who cares? And if you're talking about, it's like social media, it's like, what if I don't have the right lighting, I don't have the right camera, I don't have the right microphone, oh, I don't really know how to make a good YouTube title, or YouTube blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter, guys. I'm recording this on my phone. I'm recording this literally on the phone with no microphone. It is the actual microphone on the phone. It's regular lighting. That's all it is. Upstairs in an office with a never punished sign back there and a chair with some empty booster boxes. Nothing pretty here, you know. It's not that big a deal. Nobody cares. If you have some kind of value to give, if you think you have some kind of value to give, if you think you can give some kind of entertainment, right? If you're entertaining or you can provide some kind of value, you'll get your following that you're looking for. And hey, you might be able to, however, if you want to grow that, it doesn't matter, right? If you don't want to start one, also, who cares? You know, don't be afraid to just do it, because in the end, nobody cares. I see these videos that I'm putting out on this channel, and I really appreciate everybody who has been watching these. I thought when I restarted this channel years later that there would be maybe 200 views, and about every single video is getting like 1,000. So I really do appreciate that. But I don't care if it's 1,000. I don't care if it's 200 or 200,000. Who cares? It's just numbers. It doesn't even matter, right? I mean, I'm just doing this. These things aren't monetized. I'm not making any money off this. This is just me yammering away for a little bit, just to talk about the whole business that I'm doing here. And it's just, and think about it as the thing that bleeds into is that, a lot of people are afraid of that. But when they do start rolling the ball, you're working hard, you're starting that stuff, you're starting the ball rolling, you're starting to get an inventory right, you're reselling. It's kind of like mid-level stuff where, you got all your shipping supplies, and whatever you buy, you kind of have that profit method down of, oh, I can make money there no matter what. And great. Now, what comes after that is like, what is enough, right? It's like, oh, and I hear these people and they put these like arbitrary numbers out that really, it doesn't mean anything, right? They say like, oh, I want 1,000 items listed on eBay, or I want $100,000 in sales a year on it, or I want $10,000 feedback, or, all these other metrics that, once you hit them, right? Once you hit 1,000 items, or, $100,000 in a year, that big bad number that you have in sales, is that it? Your goal's done? It's like, all right, that's it. I'm all done now. Click it, log out, cancel it. That's it. No, it's not. You're not done. It's human nature. You're just going to keep going. Once you conquer that dragon, you're just going to find another dragon to conquer, and you're just going to keep going. It's like, oh, well, now that I have 100,000, it'd be nice to have 250,000. Then it'd be another 250,000. It'd be like, well, it'd be nice to have half a mil, right? And it's like, well, why don't we go for 7 figures, right? Then you go for, it's just that you won't stop. Especially with money, you notice that it starts to kick in. You're just not going to stop. That's why you see so many people like throwing money at options on Wall Street, trying to do trades. And, you see these people get big trades, and they turn their $1,000 into 10,000. And it's like, wow, this is unbelievable. 10 times. I've never even had $10,000. And how few times they cash out. And it's like, well, that's it. Because guess what? They get 10,000. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to get short-term capital gains tax. It's going to be 35%. So I really don't have $10,000, right? I really have like $6,500. So let me try to make $3,500 more to cover that, actually shortfall. So I have 10,000. Then you get to 13,000. It's like, oh, well, why don't we have 15? That's a nice number. Let's get to 20. 20 is a nice number, right? And you get to 20, and they keep trying to build, and then all of a sudden they get that one big trade after all that risk they put into that doesn't hit, and then they're back below 10,000, back below 5,000, and then they're under their original actually investment of $1,000, right? It happens all the time. So what I've really tried to strive for is that I'm not looking to hit numbers. I'm looking to hit time, right? If you put time into anything, no matter what it is, you're going to see results. And you can look back. It's like, I'm going to spend X amount of time on this and see what the result is. If you like the result, keep going. If you don't, then stop. Or if you're satisfied with that, great. I'm satisfied. It's something that I started this, this business was started in 2017, July of 2017, which means we are in now year 7 of this. I said I'm going to put 10 years into this and see where it goes and see if I'm satisfied with the result. That's why I'm been throwing myself into this so hard in the past, 6 years. It's a 10-year experiment here. Started at 30, see where I am when I'm 40. It's very possible. See the result and say, hey, you know what? That's good enough. And, the business just rolls on its own. it's already actually rolling on its own. It's actually kind of crazy. Built it up so much that I'm not really working that much in the past few weeks. Now, this was kind of forced because we're going to have our second child next week, and I want to see how I am not there and how the company actually runs. And it's actually been running very well, very smoothly. So, um, if I can see in a few more years, see where it goes, it could be that it just runs by itself and you'll just see me talking on YouTube because I'm just going to have, a way more time and be able to, share my experiences and whatever. And we'll see where it goes. But yeah, the basic point of this video was, hey, nobody cares. Nobody cares, guys. Take that. If you can take the risk, go for it. Don't. It doesn't matter what if you're doing like social media. It doesn't matter what the commenters say. There, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you start a business and people think, oh, what if it fails? So what if I think if it? Who cares? Everybody has their own problems. Don't worry about it. And once you do get that ball rolling and you do take that risk and you do, try to find something that really is, you're passionate about. And you don't have to be passionate about it. You could just be passionate about the money that comes in. I don't know. It just, whatever floats your boat. And once you get to that point and you start rolling, what's enough? Talk about it in terms of time. Because, guys, there are guys that have $200 billion in wealth. Do you think once they hit 1 million, it's like, ooh, that's good enough, or 10 and 100? People will always want more money. They're never going to, everybody wants more time, but they can't get it. So just think about it in terms of time. How much time should I give this and see if it succeeds, or see if I like it where it is? Like if you're starting a reselling, eBay business or whatever, say like, hey, I'm going to put 6 months into that. Don't say like, oh, I'm going to put 500 items, because it's something like that. It's like, well, you might not get the best items because you're trying to hit a goal, or you might not, you might get too big, a lot of stuff that can happen there when you're just putting it on the items part. Or it's like, oh, I want this much money, this much sale, this many sales out of it. And, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be seasons, and sometimes you can't source stuff, and that number might not be realistic, or you might hit a big, a big find at a garage sale or whatever, and it's like, wow, well, I hit that really easily. But then you're going to set yourself up for failure later down the line because you set an arbitrary number that was hit just because you were lucky. Just put it in terms of time. I'm going to spend 6 months doing this. Let's see what happens. And also, make it a decent amount of time, right? You say like, I'm going to give this thing 1 month to start a business and see if it succeeds. That's not enough time. That's not enough time. It's going to take much longer than that to learn. And but just take the first step. The first step is realize nobody cares. And the second step is put some time into it and see where it goes. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.